My dear friend, if you would understand how I manifest anything I desire, you must first be willing to release the notion that manifestation is an act performed upon the world. It is not. It is a movement within consciousness. It is a shift of identity. It is the quiet abandonment of one state and the assumption of another. And that is all. I do not change things. I change myself. And in changing myself, I find that the world has rearranged itself to mirror my change. For the world is not the cause, it is the effect. It is the shadow cast by the inner man, and you are that inner man. Scripture tells us, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." It does not say, transform the world. It does not say, strive and struggle and force events to bend. It says, be transformed. That transformation is not a labor of action, but a movement of identity. You cease to be the one who longs, and you become the one who has. You cease to be the one who seeks, and you become the one who knows. This is the law. Assumption hardens into fact. You do not get what you want. You get what you assume to be true. And so, if you would manifest anything, you must dare to assume that you are already the one who possesses it. Not in words, not in hopeful repetition, but in being. When I desire something, I do not ask how it will come. I do not concern myself with the channels through which it must flow. I simply enter the state of the wish fulfilled. I feel myself to be the man I would be, were my desire already a fact, and I remain there. Creation is finished. There is nothing to create. All states already exist. The man who is wealthy exists. The man who is loved exists. The man who is free exists. The man who is fulfilled exists. These are not future possibilities. They are present realities, states of consciousness available now. You do not create the state, you enter it. And when you enter it, you leave another behind. You cannot serve two states at once. You cannot be the one who is rejected and the one who is adored simultaneously. You cannot be the one who is lacking and the one who is abundant at the same time. You must release the old man. Scripture speaks of putting off the old man and putting on the new. This is not moral instruction. It is psychological revelation. The old man is your former assumption of yourself. The new man is the identity you dare to occupy. To manifest, I simply abandon the old man. If I have thought of myself as unworthy, I cease to think from that premise. I do not fight it. I do not analyze it. I let it die from neglect, and I assume the feeling of worthiness. I feel what it would be like to be chosen, to be valued, to be secure. And I remain there quietly. Feeling is the secret, not emotion in the dramatic sense, but the deep inner knowing of being. The Sabbath is not a day of the week. It is the psychological rest that follows assumption. It is the stillness that comes when you know it is done. When I manifest, I do not strain. I do not repeat affirmations mechanically. I do not look to the world for confirmation. I simply assume and rest. For once assumed, it must externalize. The world has no choice. It is compelled to reflect the state I occupy. You see, consciousness is the only reality. There is no power outside of you. The seeming external world is the echo of your own being. As within, so without. This is not poetry, it is law. When Moses stood before the burning bush and asked for God's name, the answer came, I am that I am. That is the name of God. I am. Not I will be, not I was, I am. Whatever follows those words in your own mind is the state you animate. If you say, I am tired, you animate that state. If you say, I am unwanted, you animate that state. If you say, I am blessed, you animate that state. The words are less important than the inner conviction. For the true I am is not the phrase, it is the awareness behind it. Imagination is God. Do not think of imagination as fantasy. It is the creative power of consciousness itself. The world was spoken into being, and that speech was not sound, it was assumption. It was the invisible claiming of reality. When I desire something, I imagine a scene that would be true if it were already fulfilled. A simple scene, a friend congratulating me, a handshake, a letter of confirmation. I enter that scene in imagination and I feel it real. I feel the solidity of it. I hear the tones of reality, and then I drop it. I do not repeat it endlessly. I have entered the state. That is enough. The seed has been planted. If you dig up a seed daily to see if it has grown, you destroy it. So too with assumption. Once you have assumed the state, let it be. The bridge of incidents will unfold. Events will move. People will act. Circumstances will shift. And you will not have forced a single thing. The outer world must conform. It has no independent life. It is animated by the state you occupy. If you remain faithful to the new state, the world will reflect it. If you waver and return to the old man, the reflection will follow that instead. It is not punishment. It is law. The past has no reality unless you occupy it. You may say, but this has always happened to me. That is memory speaking. Memory is only a state. If you continue to identify with it, you perpetuate it. But if you dare to assume a new identity, the past loses its grip. It dissolves like mist before the sun. When I manifest, I do not attempt to repair the past. I simply occupy a new state now. And because consciousness is the only reality, the present assumption rewrites the future and redeems the past. You are not bound by history. You are bound only by your current assumption of yourself. Therefore, if you would manifest anything, ask yourself, who would I be if this were already true? How would I feel? How would I see the world? What would be natural to me? Then be that now. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for evidence. Evidence follows assumption. It never precedes it. The prodigal son did not earn his return. He arose and went to his father. That rising is the change of state. The father running to meet him is the world rearranging itself in response. When you rise in consciousness, the world runs to meet you. This is not arrogance. It is understanding. You are not a small creature trying to influence a vast universe. You are the operant power. The universe is your reflection. The drama of life is your own consciousness objectified. If you assume you are neglected, the world will neglect you. If you assume you are cherished, the world will cherish you. It may use different actors. It may unfold in unexpected ways, but it must conform. Assumption hardens into fact. Therefore, choose wisely the state you occupy, not through effort, but through selection. It is like changing garments. You remove one and put on another. The garment does not argue. It simply covers you. So too with states. If you would manifest wealth, cease being the man who worries about money. Put on the feeling of security. If you would manifest love, cease being the one who fears abandonment. Put on the feeling of being chosen. If you would manifest health, cease identifying with illness. Put on the feeling of vitality. Do not battle the old state. Let it die through disuse. Attention is life. Withdraw attention from what you no longer wish to animate. Enter the new state quietly. Persist in it gently, and rest. The world will rearrange itself in ways you could never devise. Doors will open, conversations will occur, opportunities will appear, and you will say, how did this happen? But you will know. You change within. There is no power to oppose you. Only the echo of former assumptions. If something appears contrary, do not react. Reaction is re-entry into the old state. Instead, return inwardly to the fulfilled state. Feel it again, know it again, and remain there. The storm cannot uproot the tree whose roots are deep. Root yourself in the conviction of being, not hoping, not trying, being. When you truly assume, there is a subtle shift, a quiet relief, a sense of inevitability. That is the Sabbath. That is the sign. You have entered the state. And from that moment, it is done. You may not see movement immediately. That is irrelevant. The unseen is more real than the seen. The seen is only the delayed expression of former states. Persist in the new one, and the outer must catch up. Do not measure by appearances. Measure by inner conviction. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It is not in the sky. It is not in a distant future. It is the state of consciousness you dare to occupy now. If you understand this, you will no longer ask, how do I manifest? You will ask, who am I being? For that is the secret. That is how I manifest anything I want. I become the one who has it. I feel the naturalness of it. I rest in it, and I allow the world to reflect it. Nothing more. You are already that which you seek. The desire itself is proof, for you would not desire what does not already exist as a state within consciousness. The hunger implies food. The thirst implies water. The desire implies fulfillment. Enter it. Let go of the former man. Do not mourn him. He was only a garment. Put on the new one and walk as though it were true, because it is. In the end, you will discover that you did not change the world. You remembered who you are. You remembered that imagination is God. You remembered that consciousness is the only reality. And you assumed your rightful state. And the world, obedient and faithful, mirrored your remembrance. That is how I manifest anything I want.